Hello and welcome to the morning after show. My name is Joshua Reimer. I'm joined by none other than Jared Block, who is on my right. Jared, how are you doing? How's your weekend? I know you get your day off on Saturday, or at least kind of a day off on Saturday. So how'd it go?
Yeah. Excuse me. Wow. I guess I'm starting off on the right foot here, coughing
Yeah.
in the camera. Yeah, it was a good weekend. I went to go see some family on Saturday. Saw the doggo for a little while. Not too bad of a weekend. It's been raining here like the entire day, like the last 36 hours. So it's been a little bit weird on that end, but it's getting colder. It's almost it's not winter yet, but it feels like for sure getting close to it. I know we were talking about some stuff randomly yesterday, and I told both you guys that it was like 30 degrees in the morning. It's kind of what it feels like, and I don't think we're gonna get any more sun this year, unfortunately for me.
Yeah, well, we'll get plenty of sun here in Nashville, but it has been raining this morning, and I told you like this was definitely the morning where I was like, yeah, I could just check out for the day, and I'd be very happy to just spend a full day in bed. But we're not going to do that. We're on the show, and we're ready to talk about everything that's going on in the sports world, whether it be NFL, whether it be MLB, whether it be NBA. There is plenty to talk about. So Jared, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's start talking about what happened yesterday on the NFL slate.
Yeah, let's do it. Very strange. I think that's probably going to be the either the smallest or the strangest slate that we're going to have the entire season, just because Week 7, and it's not really a shocker to most if you play fantasy football in some sort of form. We had a lot of issues with bye weeks and a lot of issues with injuries yesterday, and that's going to be, I think, the most that we have. 6 teams on bye, and no London game or anything. So it was the most teams that we're going to have on bye all year. I know my teams were just absolutely destroyed. How did that go for you? And I don't know. I mean, is it just? It feels like every single time that I roster a quarterback in a good spot, they fail me miserably.
Yeah, I feel you. Well, I kind of feel you. I kind of don't. It really pissed me off yesterday that Taylor Heineke decided to go off against the Packers. Though the week before against the Chiefs, he ended up struggling. That was a kind of tilting part of yesterday. When it comes to season long, I my teams were decimated, man. Like if you had a lot of people on bye, it usually means that you have a good team because a lot of the good players were on bye this week. It was the Chargers, it was the Bills, it was all these great teams, and I have a lot of good teams this year. So seeing a lot of my players on bye really hurt. I even told you I ended up picking Mohamed Sanu up in two of my leagues yesterday just because of all of the bye stuff that was going on. So season long certainly been interesting. Yeah, I can see a lot of people already saying that both of their season long teams were shorthanded this week. Mine were the same exact way. So season long was a battle. I didn't end up winning in our big buy-in league, which kind of hurt because I needed that win. But I did win in our small buy-in league, and I won in my important dynasty league. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Week 7 was just weird, man. I won. I won on I won on 4 p.m. and I won on DraftKings on 1 p.m. But man, was it a weird slate, right? There's so many things that happened that I would never have expected to happen. For example, Rams not putting up 30 plus points didn't happen. Rams were pretty dominant throughout the game, but they didn't get that big lead till the end of the game. I wouldn't have expected the Raiders to win by that much against the Eagles, especially with all the injuries that they're dealing with. They had Waller out, and then they had Josh Jacobs out towards the middle of the game as well. The Titans game we'll talk about soon. Patriots putting up 50 points. You'll never see that ever again for the next 3 seasons. And Bengals winning by 24. That was an impressive win for the Bengals for
Yep.
sure, especially in Baltimore. There were some really weird and funky games yesterday, and I'm excited to break it down. So, Jared, take your favorite game from yesterday, the funkiest game from yesterday, and tell me what you want to talk about.
Yeah, there was only one game yesterday that was decided by one score. That's how weird it was.
No.
Uh,
And it
I
was
mean,
the
Thursday Night
Dolphins
Football.
and it was the Dolphins and the Falcons. That's the one
Yep.
game.
Well,
Weird.
you can always count on a Falcons game being close,
Oh, of
always.
course,
So,
yeah.
yeah. Other than that, though, everything was decided by anywhere from 10 to 40 points, like we said with the Patriots game. So yeah, it was that was kind of how it was shaping up. We knew that one of the three big favorites was going to lose against the spread. Did not think it was going to be the Rams one. And actually, for those of you who watched that one, I was kind of more focused on the Buccaneers game. But for those watching the Rams game, that game actually came down. Jared Goff actually had a chance to take the lead, or at least get this thing within 1 point or so. But he threw an interception to Jalen Ramsey in the fourth quarter in the end zone. So I'm surprised that it was the Rams that did not go over their team total, and second actually complete the spread there. But I don't know. I mean, the other two teams were just bad. The Bears, not good. We saw that one coming from a mile away, and then also the Texans putting up 5 points against the Cardinals was very interesting. I will say the one game that was really, it's probably the strangest outside of the Bengals Ravens, was how bad the Carolina Panthers have been the last several weeks. Losing to a Giants team that does not have Saquon, Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney, like all those injuries. Even Sterling Shepard was out, and they still lost by 22. That was probably one of the weirdest things I've seen.
Yeah, Matt Rule comes out and says, we're changing up the game plan. That includes running the ball more. They only gave Chuba 12 attempts for
Yep.
rushing. So I found that really interesting. Found that kind of funny. Um, yeah, it's just, and then they ended up bringing in Philip Walker at the end of the game.
Yep.
Like that was interesting too. Like, and then Matt Rule said that most likely they're gonna stick with Darnold, but he said something about the trade deadline. So like it's
Yeah.
just super confusing what this Panthers team is, because I mean, like you said at the beginning of the season, we were talking about this team not being a Super Bowl contender at all, but like being a good team at the very least, having a really good defense, having a solid starting offense. I know both you and I believe in Sam Darnold, and the dude just didn't get the job done yesterday. He hasn't been getting the job done at all recently. I mean, he's had 7 interceptions in the past 4 games. So like, I don't know. This Panthers team is now 3-4. They're in a really tough division in the NFC South. What do you think the outcome is for this Panthers team? I think at this point in the season, I would say they probably end up missing playoffs.
Yeah, no, I don't think that they're making the playoffs by any means. I think that there's too many good teams in the NFC West for that to happen. I don't know. I mean, their division's tough too, so it's like they still have to play the Saints and the Bucks at least one more time each. So I think that it goes back to your point from earlier. I don't really think Matt Rule is very good at hiding things from the media.
Yeah.
So last week, like not even like we were talking about this like 4 days ago or 3 days ago, how he was saying that Sam Darnold was his quarterback and they're not thinking about anybody else. But here we go. I think that they are one of two teams that signs Deshaun Watson, so or trades for him. And I think while people are expecting this to go Miami's way, Carolina's got some really nice assets and a lot of cap space and things that can make a trade like that look a little bit better. So I personally think he goes to Carolina, but I mean, who knows at this point?
I would imagine the Carolina side would look better if Carolina wants to offer the right deal.
Yeah,
Carolina can definitely make a better offer than Miami. I mean, all the reports we're seeing around that, which I wanted to talk about that too, so we can just kind of transition into that really quickly. Like things are heating back up again, according to a lot of analysts. We even saw like this has all been speculatory. Like we've been seeing it from
yeah,
random guys. We haven't been seeing it from like the Ian Rappaports of the world or the Adam Schefters. But I think this morning we finally got something from Ian Rappaport saying that things are starting to heat up on the Deshaun Watson front. So like knowing that it's heating up in that regard, think you see this trade happen before the trade deadline. Now, my question is, I know NBA trade deadline like the back of my hand. I know MLB deadline at the back of my head, but I'm curious when the NFL trade deadline is. I know it's coming up really soon.
I don't know the date 100%, but I think it's the end of next week or the end of this
It's
week. It's
Tuesday, November 2nd. So the
yeah,
beginning of next week
yeah,
is when it's going to happen. Luckily, the last show that I'm going to be on, well, no, second to last show. I'll be on the Wednesday show. But we're leaving for Kansas City next week, Jared. I realized that in the
yep,
car yesterday. I was like, holy shit, it's coming up, man. Um,
yeah, we are.
anyway, it's going to be really interesting to see how this Watson news develops throughout the week, because I think you're getting closer and closer to seeing a deal happening.
Yeah, and one thing to keep in mind is that he does have a no trade clause, so I mean, the friendliest environment is going to be Florida. So, I mean, Miami, no trade or no tax. I think that that's an interesting spot for him. Uh, so Spotty can get into a lot of personal trouble too. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. At this point, I've kind of just assumed that it's going to happen eventually, and I'm just over the whole situation in total because I don't think he's even playing this season at all. So like,
Yeah.
let's just I don't know. The teams aren't going to roll him out there until this all this stuff gets that's sorted out and everything legally takes care of itself. However, it does. Because could you imagine right now if like he starts somewhere, the amount of rioting that people are going to do everywhere? It just I don't think that he's going to be able to play until next fall at the earliest, and maybe not even then.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. It's gonna be a while, right? I think even if you do trade for him, it's gonna be a while. I think trading for him is just I don't know. I just have a feeling with everything heating up, like you probably do it now, and maybe even if you don't start him, you at least have him in the room, getting used to your system and everything, and maybe that's how things works. But we'll just have to see. Let's talk about it because it's up there as today's topic for the NFL. Are the Chiefs done, Jared? 27-3 is how much the Titans outscored the Chiefs this week. We thought this Chiefs team was going to battle. We've seen some impressive things from this Chiefs team this year. We've seen some not so impressive things from this Chiefs team this year, mainly being that Patrick Mahomes has just as many turnovers as Jets rookie Zach Wilson. I know it was a stat that was talked about quite a bit yesterday. It seemed like all they could bring up after Mahomes threw that first interception was that stat. What do you think is happening with Mahomes and the Chiefs right now?
Well, this is the first time in several years where they've had a really, really bad defense. They had a bad run defense like 2 or 3 years ago when they went to the Super Bowl, and it got a little bit tighter. But the thing that I'm most concerned about is the fact that their defense just does not give their offense any time on the field. And the longer their defense just stays out there, the longer, like you saw yesterday with with the Tennessee Titans, how long just the amount of time of possession difference is a killer, and it makes Mahomes, who already was kind of free balling it, make even worse throws, and make enforced decisions that he probably shouldn't be doing. He will get better. This team will get better. They have too much talent to not get better, but we're not going to see that for a while because I do think that the hit that he took will probably keep him out of next week's game, and they're going to have to rely on Chad Henne for at least next week, Monday, who they play the Giants on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, just hoping and praying that they don't have to rely on Chad Henne come time that we get to go see them in Green Bay or in Kansas City because I'd much rather watch Patrick Mahomes than Chad Henne. But still, regardless, I would agree with you that it's most likely going to be a Chad Henne week this week. I don't know. This Chiefs team just looks very unimpressive. I mean, when it goes to that time of possession stat that you were talking about, there was one point in the game where the Titans had the ball for 30 plays and the Chiefs had the ball for 12 plays. Like that should tell you what the time of possession stuff that we're talking about. Link DFS, thank you for subbing with Prime. Um, I don't know. This defense is bad. The offense doesn't look great. I will also say the Titans defense has been improved. So like I think that there's a reason why this offense hasn't looked great. And again, it goes to something that I talked about a few weeks ago where Mahomes feels like he has to score every single possession, and putting that type of pressure on the quarterback is going to create turnovers all the time. Holy crap, look at Link go. Gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you, man. Greatly appreciated. 2, Mr. Crispy, I Cheyenne, FSCS Wervo, JSO84, and Cardenas 2097. Thanks again, Link. He said, hope everyone is having a great morning. Definitely having a great morning now. Thanks, man. I don't know. Like, what is your outlook for this Chiefs team? Do they still make the playoffs even after you see them lose like this?
I keep backing them, and it feels like I have to stay on this train. So
Yeah, like there's a certain
I
point where
think,
like you just can't get off.
yeah, I think they're still fine. I mean, it's gonna be an uphill battle for sure, and they definitely have some interesting tests that now. Like 3 weeks ago, you would have said, "Oh, they should be able to handle this," but then you start looking at this schedule, and it's definitely a little bit more challenging. but a lot of divisional opponents to go still for the Chiefs. Like I said, they play the Giants at home, and then they play the Packers, which will be the game we go to. They also will play the Raiders in Vegas, and they play the Raiders twice. They play the Cowboys, Broncos twice, Chargers, Steelers, Bengals. So like there aren't too many guaranteed wins here, but I feel like I think that at some point, and we're seeing the Raiders kind of separate themselves a little bit. Now the Chargers were on bye, so that's definitely you can't just keep them out of the talks here, but I still think that the Chiefs have enough. It's just they need to make some off or some trade deadline moves to keep them afloat while they get a little bit healthier and try to figure things out.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the assets are to make trade deadlines. Like, do you have your first round pick? Do you have your second round
Yeah,
pick? Right? How
yeah.
close are you to the cap? Like, you're pretty close to the cap. I can almost definitely tell you that.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it's just it's the matter of fact that like when you sign a QB to this humongous deal, it usually never works out, man. Like, I mean, Mahomes isn't making the money that he made on this new deal right now. But when he gets into this new deal, he's making 30 plus million every year. It just ruins the cap. Like, it has been clearly shown that these winning teams usually have young QBs that are still on that rookie deal that is so advantageous for teams.
That's why they went to the Super Bowl. That's how they
Exactly,
went to the Super Bowl.
right? Like it is because they have this elite talented QB and they're able to pay the defense and the offense still because they still have so much money. And I mean, you can kind of say it's what the Chargers look like right now, right? Justin
Yeah,
Herbert on this really, really cheap deal and they're able to pay the rest of everyone. And it doesn't affect the salary cap too much. Now, just the Buccaneers are a team that I think is just an absolute anomaly. But like, there's a lot of teams like that where you'll see because they have that young talent that's still on their rookie deal at the QB position or maybe at some other position as well. It really helps the overall team and it lets you load up on the rest of your team as well.
sure. Yeah, here's an interesting stat. Just looking through this, and I got curious because I pulled up all the standings, and the Chiefs are tied with the Houston Texans for third worst in the league, giving up 203 total points. The only two
Wow.
teams that are worse: Dolphins 207 and the Washington Football Team 210.
Jeez.
Uh,
Not
yeah,
good
so
company to
that's
be in.
no, it's not. I mean, the fact that they have 3 wins is better than all those teams, but it's certainly yeah, I don't know. They're gonna have to win some coin flip games, and they're gonna have to do very very well in their division in order to have any chance of making the playoffs here.
Yep, I would tend to agree on that front. All right, bring up another NFL game, Jared. What else do you want to talk about from this NFL Sunday?
At what point do people show the Bengals some respect here? At what
Yeah, I
point?
don't know. I think this okay, so this is the perfect game to bring up because I am not afraid to say that I was firmly backing the Ravens in this game. I thought the Ravens had this one in the bag. I figured that this Baltimore team, like think about the teams they have won against so far this season. It's been a win against hold on, I'm pulling it up now. It's been a win against the Steelers. It's been a win against the Jags. It's been a win against the Lions. Like what are they going to do when they have real competition against this Ravens team? They look great and they looked absolutely amazing against this Ravens team and did a great job of limiting Lamar. They're both 5-2 with the Bengals having they have the lead now, right? They should have the lead
Yep.
now that yeah,
Well,
so
yeah. It's technically they are tied, but they now have the winner of the tiebreaker.
okay. So I I just think that like this Bengals team's the real deal, or at least it seems like it. I didn't think this defense would be able to hold up, but I was watching a Bengals game. I don't think it was this week. I think it was last week. And they were talking about how their focus in the offseason was to bring in defensive players that were on winning teams into
Yep.
this defense to create a winning culture. And I was like, that's a like it doesn't sound like it sounds kind of chasey almost, but like it sounds like a great idea also too. Like creating that culture in your defense, that reliability, that accountability in your defense. It's clearly done something for this team because they look amazing. I mean, they look better than ever. I don't know. Do you think this team is? I'm curious. I got to go see on Bet Online, our sponsors. Are they the favorite to win the AFC North now?
Uh, I have not looked. I would assume that they're still second behind the Ravens right now. Um, but I mean, this is going to come down to the day after Christmas is when the Ravens and Bengals play each other in Cincy. And I think that looking at the rest of their schedule, Josh, I'm seeing a lot of winnable games for this Bengals team. Uh, you have they're taking on the Jets next week. They host the Browns, which I don't think they're going to have at least one of their running backs and probably not see Baker Mayfield possibly the rest of the season. There's a chance that he sits the rest of the year. I think that then they play the Raiders, which would be a tough matchup. The Steelers, whatever teams face off in the AFC North, it's always going to be a little bit of a bloodbath there. Chargers, Niners, Broncos, Ravens, Chiefs, and Browns. So, like, I don't know. There's a lot of winnable games here. I think that there's a chance that Cincy finishes with 10 wins, and that might just be enough to take home that AFC North title. For those of you who don't know or aren't aware, there's been this thing, and we just haven't seen it because the team's been bad, but they are the only team in the league that does not have an indoor facility for practicing. It's been a thing that's been addressed for a long time, and they just I think that they're actually working towards doing it now, but they're still practicing outside. And when it gets to these cold temperatures, like we'll see come the next, I don't know, I think that weather starts affecting games in about 3 weeks, maybe. We'll see how this Bengals team performs because you get a lot of guys that their matchups are going to be very, very interesting to see because when they have these home games against these teams that play indoors, we'll see how it goes. Like Chargers, for example, playing in Cincy in December. You have the Niners playing in Cincy in December. You also have Ravens and Chiefs, both cold weather places, but they're playing in Cincy in December and January. So we'll see how it works out for them.
Yeah, definitely going to see how it works out for them. I agree with you that it is a lot of winnable games on this schedule. And to my surprise, Ravens minus 105 for the AFC North, Bengals plus 240 for the AFC
Yeah,
North.
I'll take
I
that.
I will take plus 240 every day of the week. I'm actually going to go place a bet on it right after we get off the show. But yeah, that's kind of insane to see Bengals plus 240. I think that those odds are a little ridiculous, and I will 100% back the Bengals here. All right, let's talk about Jamar Chase really quickly because Jamar Chase continues to prove both of us wrong. We both came out before the beginning of the season saying that we were a little bit concerned. There was a whole bunch of rumors around going about domestic violence and the fact
Yep.
that he couldn't see the ball and just a whole bunch of stuff. And clearly, Jamar Chase just wants to prove us wrong because Jamar Chase has had a phenomenal season. He's on pace to absolutely smash Justin Jefferson's rookie yards record. He's also on pace to smash just like the season. Is it the season long record? I saw something that like he has the most receiving yards through week 7 out of any player. I don't know if it was this year or just like ever. I'm gonna have to go find that notification. Of course, Sleeper sent it to me. But yeah, just talk about Jamar Chase. Like Jamar Chase is clearly the real deal, but like, what's the ceiling here?
I think this sky is the limit for this guy. I mean, as long as he can stay healthy, he has the relationship with his quarterback that has already developed for several years before he even got to the league in the first place. You don't see it very many times where you got guys that are playing on the same team in college and the pros. It doesn't happen very often, just the way things work. But the big play ability for Jamar Chase is still, I think, untapped, and we haven't seen what he can actually do yet. I mean, he's still like I say that and he has like 5 touchdowns over 60 yards this year, maybe even more than that. But yeah, 8 for 201 and a touchdown yesterday can just take the game over, and that's kind of what sparked this Bengals team. And, especially when they're playing a team like the Ravens, who I still think is a little bit suspect in terms of when they get down, how can they fire back and do an air raid with another team that's also very good at passing the football. So we'll see. I think that the Bengals just have done a really good job, one, of staying healthy, and two, just acquiring pieces that work together. I think that Joe Mixon, although not having like the games that we've seen from him in the past couple of weeks, still fits the system very well. I mean, you have another good backup in Samaje Perine. I can't believe I'm saying that, but he's solid, and I think that Chase, Higgins, and Boyd are all very, very good pieces for this offense. And that frees up. I can't even say anything bad about CJ Uzoma anymore because apparently he decided to top his personal record from a few weeks ago and scored 2 touchdowns again. But yeah, I don't know. It's just I think that a lot of these pieces allow Jamar Chase to be able to work and to really be able to show off his talent. But he certainly is the real deal.
Yeah. Okay. So the stat that I was talking about, most receiving yards by a player through his first 7 games in NFL history, that belongs to Jamar Chase with 754 receiving yards this
All right.
season throughout 7 games. I mean, that's insane, man. That's a lot of
Yeah.
receiving yards, and like he's just such a big play type of guy that anytime he's on the field, there's a chance for this Bengals team to open it up and pass it downfield. And I think it helps out the rest of the team too. It helps
Sure.
out guys like CJ Uzoma, helps out guys like Tyler Boyd and T Higgins. Like it gives them opportunities as well underneath that way, so Jamar Chase can take care of it over the top. And it's just such a dynamic offense. I mean, like if you're the Bengals, are you kind of sticking it to everyone now after everyone said that you should have drafted Sewell with that pick instead of Jamar Chase?
They still have some things to figure out on that front, but I think that they're happy with what they got, and
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, the defense for me is the biggest bump here. So if they can if they can play that well and stay that consistent, I think that the offensive line still needs some work, but I think that they've shown that they, as long as they're healthy, can definitely do things. And then shout out to Joe Burrow again. 400 passing yards is no small feat, especially against the Ravens too. It's just, yeah, I think this team has a real shot. They're not. I don't think the Super Bowl contenders. I don't think they're really playoff contenders by any means necessarily, but they should have a really good chance of winning the AFC North. Too. It's just too early for me to say if they go into Tennessee or if they go into even LA against the Chargers that they're going to keep up. I just don't know if that's the case.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that this is a team that if I were the GM, I'd be very active at the trade deadline. I'd be trying
Oh
to
yeah,
find a piece to make my team better. I'd be looking at defensive pieces around the league, seeing what's on the block. And if I'm this GM, you make a move now because this might be your chance to make a move while the Ravens aren't all. I mean, the Ravens are still good. I don't want to discount the Ravens. I think the Ravens are a very solid team, but this seems like your spot to, really take over this division potentially and show why you're the top dog here.
yep.
Ravens, I mean, it wasn't a good look yesterday, but like, are you hitting the panic button quite yet? Or is it just a situation where, every team's going to have a bad game every once in a while?
Uh, I'm not hitting the panic button. I think that they're going to be just fine. It's just what happens in December with that Ravens Bengals game in Cincy, because going into that where I think that the Bengals are probably within a win of each other in week 15 and 16. And I think that that's going to be the deciding factor for who wins the division. The AFC North itself is it's kind of up for grabs right now. I think that the Bengals have a hold on some of it, but you have a Ravens team that's decimated at defense still, and they also lost. They lost Gus Edwards and they lost J.K. Dobbins. I think that would make things a lot different if they had those two guys back. I also think that you're catching an AFC division that doesn't have clearly. I mean, the Steelers are just, I don't know, old, I guess is the best way to say that.
Yeah.
And the Browns have eight, I don't know, 5+ key injuries out to their guys. So it's a division where I think the injuries are going to sort itself out, and whoever stays the healthiest is going to be the AFC North champion.
Yep, I would tend to agree. All right, let's talk about your Packers, Jared, because they ended up winning 24-10 against the Washington football team. It seemed like a really complete game from you guys, in all honesty. Not only was it Devontae Adams getting involved, but we saw a lot of Alan Lazard before halftime. We saw a whole drive almost dedicated to him and getting him targets. And I saw something like he had 10 catches on the year. He had 4 catches during that drive before halftime.
Yep.
So or it might have been more than that. I know that's what he said at that point in the drive, and it continued to go on. And I'm pretty sure he got more catches. So it was a great game for you guys. You know, you held Washington in check. I got a little bit scared because I had a lot of money on you guys when it came to that inning. Geez, that first quarter. But you guys really just dominated throughout the rest and didn't look back.
Yep, that first drive to basically Terry McLaurin, that was basically all that happened the entire game
Yeah.
for the Washington football team. Heineke still threw the ball 37 times, which was definitely impressive. And outside of that, I think he had that one long run too. But other than that, I think the Packers defense did a surprisingly good job of keeping them in check. Like I said before on the podcast and several shows last week, they've been just destroyed by injuries. And I think that they're going to start getting healthy here. But that should still be a spot where people can take advantage of the Packers defense. Unfortunately, Washington was not able to. Other than that, this was probably the most boring game out of the Week 7 slate, for what
Yeah.
it's worth. Very just, I don't know. It kind of seemed over in the second half. Packers up by 2 scores for the majority of that. Rodgers just does a really good job of controlling the game and spreading the ball out to several different receivers. We saw Tunyon get involved finally. We saw Lazard, like you said, get involved, even threw the ball to Lewis, Cobb, Aaron Jones. Like, I don't know. It's just this team continues to. I shouldn't say surprise me because I'm not surprised that we're 6-1. It's just the way that it's gone about has been a little bit more different than usual because we've been in a lot of close games and usually when a team is in like several close games within one score in the final like 5 minutes of the game, it goes both ways. It just seems like the Packers one has gone uh, basically our way every single time. Outside of the 1 week where we didn't show up against the Saints, I mean, this team has looked great.
Yeah, I mean that's the one blemish you have on the record, right? He's not showing up against the Saints. That's the one blemish that Aaron Rodgers has on like the whole season is just not showing
Yep.
up against that team, and everything else he looks amazing. So it's good to see that Packers team doing well, 6-1 now, clear leaders in their division. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out. All right, any other game that you want to talk about before we talk about the World Series?
No, I mean, I don't know. We could touch on last night. I
No,
know you don't want to talk about it.
no, I'm good. Let's move on. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, the Colts are a team that continue to surprise me personally. I think that their defense looked surprisingly above average last night, and you could say what you will about Carson Wentz, but he also continues to surprise me. I know that he should have had like 8 balls intercepted last night, but at the same time, I mean, Jimmy turned the ball over 3 times himself, so I don't. Last night was strange. It was very, very weird. It also felt like the longest game ever, like 5 hours, but it was only 3 hours, but it felt like it was like six
Felt
hours. So,
yeah, felt really long.
uh, yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. I mean, the Colts they're always a really, really strange team, and to get a grasp on what this team actually is, given the injuries that they've had to go through. But the offensive line continues to show up, and that's probably one of the reasons where they are.
Not only are they showing up, but it's not even they don't even have Quentin Nelson. Like he wasn't even in this game, and they're still
He
showing
was.
up.
He
Oh, he
was.
was in this game. My bad.
Yep.
I thought they said something about him being out before the game. Anyway, regardless, it was just it was just a bad game, man. I mean, like Debo came out afterwards and said like we're better than our record is, but like you're not showing it on the field, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This will be the last week that Jimmy G is a starter for the 49ers. I can nearly guarantee you, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the 49ers move him at the trade deadline if they find a suitor for him. That's the type of vibe that I got from Shanahan last night. That's the type of vibe that I got from the team as a whole. I think they're ready to move on from Jimmy G, and I think it's time to move on to Trey Lance whenever he's good to go and healthy, which should be this next week. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this 49ers team will be a lot better under Trey Lance, but we'll just have to see. I think they are better than 2-4, but like I said, they're just not showing it. So like if you're not showing it, then I can't really say anything else.
Right. I'm very interested to see where Lance is in his injury rehab right now because they have a scary next, not necessarily this week, but they have a scary next 2 weeks after, and looks like the bye is not in sight for a while. I'm doing the math here. I don't even know where your guys' bye week is,
Oh,
or if you have it
it was
already.
last week.
Oh, well, that sucks.
Yeah, yeah,
uh, they have the Bears this week, and then they have the Cardinals and Rams at home. So that's going to be a tough 3 weeks. And I know that Lance would have been really useful last night because they were just I mean, the team still passed the ball. It's just they would have needed that change of pace from their quarterback to be able to actually move the ball down the field when it mattered most. But yeah, I'm interested to see where that news takes us. If he wasn't good to go last night, kind of worries me to see when if he'll be able to go this week.
yeah. I hope he is. I also think it'll be really fun to watch Fields versus Lance because I don't know. I think that's a good matchup for TV wise. So I hope that Lance plays this week. I don't know. We'll have to see exactly what happens. Also, can I just say the 49ers are just absolutely the refs' least favorite team in all the NFL. Or maybe our just DBs are just absolutely awful too. I mean, that's probably
Oh, they
contributing to
are.
this.
Yes.
But like I have never seen more DPIs in my life than I've seen on this 40. Like it just feels like every team just is like, all right, we're just gonna chuck it deep and hope that you guys get a DPI. I also think the rule about DPIs is absolutely stupid. It makes no sense to bring it all the way to where the player got fouled. Anyway, that's my last bit on this. I don't want to talk about my 49ers anymore because man, has this not been a great season.
Yeah, we can preview this game tonight very quickly, and then we'll talk about some other stuff, including the World Series. Saints versus Seahawks tonight, kind of like a snoozer for what it's worth, but I still think we were talking about this, and I'm interested to see what the chat's reaction to this is, because this will really put you. This will probably shock some of you that don't really know the numbers of things for live TV, but I feel very, very confident that the Saints Seahawks game is going to, can I say, double the amount of people that watch the World Series game tomorrow?
Yeah, it probably will, which is absolutely insane because like I don't know, I don't want to watch this game. Like I'm gonna watch it. I need my film study for every team that I can get, but like
Yeah.
man, I don't want to watch this game. I'd much rather watch something else. Actually, might end up watching NBA instead, but we'll have to see. I might have it on in the background. Still, like Geno Smith versus Jameis Winston, just doesn't sound my ideal Monday night game.
No, not quite.
I'm very
Kai says
curious. Oh, go ahead.
you be an Eagles fan. He said you could be an Eagles fan. Pain is all I know.
At least you guys have a talented quarterback. Our quarterback is just, well, I mean, Lance is good. It's just Jimmy G really pissed me off last night. I've been such a Jimmy G supporter recently, or just
You
this
have them.
whole the beginning of the season. Like I've had said that like this guy's good. Like don't count him out, and it's not true, man. It is not true. I go back on everything that I've said about Jimmy G. Anyway, regardless, I don't know. It'll be an interesting matchup. Who's favored right now in this game with the Seahawks at home?
I believe that the Saints are. Let me just double check. I saw this last night. I have not looked at it this morning yet. But I would assume that the Saints would be favored, but not by much, though. Yeah, it's -4 for the Saints. So even if this was a neutral site, the Saints would be a touchdown favorite.
Yeah. Okay. So that is interested. Um, yeah, I don't know. I have no clue where to place that bet right now. If you told me that it's -4, that is a completely great line to put it at Bet Online because I have no interest in betting it whatsoever. All right. Anything else NFL wise? If not, let's get a little bit of World Series talk in here.
No, no, it's we'll hopefully have a lot more to talk about there than we do on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, hopefully we do because we talked about what Monday Night Football for like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. All right, World Series, it's happening. It's happening tomorrow, right? Like that's our first
Yep.
game. So we have the Astros facing off against the Braves. At least one of our teams got through, Jared. Like one of the teams that I wanted to get through got through. The Astros got through as well, though. So it's going to be interesting to see. We did get the news yesterday that Lance McCullers is not going to be taking the mound for this World Series because
Really?
of his injuries. Yeah, I mean, the injuries are really bad, I guess, for whatever happened in the ALDS. He didn't play in the or I don't think he played in the ALCS. So, like, what, like, this is a bad injury to have at the wrong time. But what do you think? Give me your prediction. Do you think the Braves end up winning this one? Do you think the Astros end up winning this one? Which side are you on?
I think that is going to come down to Charlie Morton. That's really what I think is gonna. He's gonna have two games in this series, and I don't know the numbers. I'm rooting for the Braves because, like we said the other day, I don't know if we said it on air. I think it was just a conversation you and I had, but the for all the the Brewers have only made the playoffs postseason 8 times, and every single time, all 8 times, the team that beat them has won or has went to the World Series. So
Nope.
it's a cool, kind of a cool stat, I guess. I mean, our team is good, but it's not good enough. So that's kind of what it is. But right now, BetOnline has the Astros here at -140, Braves +120 for game one. Actually, no, for the series. Sorry, for the series. This is they're giving the Astros minus money, and the biggest thing here, and I think the reason for this is strange. I think both teams are very solid on both sides of the ball. It's just which bullpen shows up and which pitching staff shows up is going to be the key here. I know that we talked about this several times, and each time it's gotten more controversial. But if the Dodgers had won, the Dodgers would have been the home team getting that third game. Now the Astros get that third game. So talk to me about that and why baseball continues to this rule continues to just change everything.
Yeah, it does continue to change everything. It's super interesting to see how like the game, like the split up happens with the game seven or with it being a 7 game series. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I agree with you that it's gonna be all Charlie Morton here, and it's super interesting because Morton won with this team in
Yep.
2017. So like you
100%.
have that little narrative here, and I love that narrative. That was the year that this team cheated too. So like, or the Astros ended up cheating. So like, I don't know. It's super interesting. I think it's going to be a great matchup. I really don't know what side to be on. I guess I slightly lean towards the Braves, hoping they win it. But I don't know. It's going to be a really good series, and I think it does come down to starting pitching because I think when it comes to hitting, both of these teams have been pretty equal throughout the playoffs.
Yep. Houston actually is getting more points as a series favorite than they are in game one. Framber Valdez takes the mound for this team, and right now he's a -130 home favorite. Charlie Morton being in the +119 dog. BetOnline has this one as a total of 8.5. So personally, I think that actually, well, maybe not in this game, but I do think there are a lot of runs scored in total in the series as this thing plays out. I don't know. I mean, this is probably the first World Series in a few years where I just really don't know which side is going to take it because it just doesn't. It feels like these teams are very evenly matched. It's just I'm very interested to see what Dusty Baker does as like he has to play chess against this Braves team, and it's whoever is going to win that managerial decision making for pitchers that's going to come out on top.
Yep, I would tend to agree. All right, anything else on this front? And if not, let's talk some hoops. Let's talk some NBA.
No, yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting series. Again, I think that the Astros have a little bit of an advantage here due to the home field and how that played out. I think the Braves got shafted a little bit just because I mean,
No.
at the end of the day, a rule's a rule, and they beat the Dodgers, who would have had home field advantage, and now they have to kind of just play with that chip on their shoulder like they have the entire postseason.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they can do exactly that. All right, let's talk about the NBA. Let's talk about everything that happened in the NBA yesterday. We saw the Nets super team, and I put that in quotations, end up losing to the Hornets yesterday. And
Yikes.
it's kind of close to a blowout, in all honesty, 111-95 for that Hornets team. Also saw the Rockets end up losing. We saw the 76ers look good, even though there was a potential to have Joel Embiid out. We saw the Warriors look really good. I mean, they possibly look like the best team out west right now. And the Lakers finally getting their first win against this
Yep.
Memphis Grizzlies team. Which game do you want to cover first?
Let's talk about the most interesting team in the league in the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, let's do it because you're right. This team is one of the most interesting teams in the league. This team is also a team that is 3-0 right now. So,
Yep.
definitely potential there for a playoff team, in my opinion. I think what's dynamic about this team is that anyone can be the leading scorer any given night when it comes to this starting rotation. You know, it
Sure.
doesn't just have to be LaMelo anymore. It doesn't just have to be Gordon Hayward anymore. They have Miles Bridges, who scored 32 points yesterday. They have
Yep.
LaMelo Ball, like I just said. Gordon Hayward. Kelly Oubre was the leading scorer in their second game for a really long time. I don't think he ended up being the leading scorer, but he was the leading scorer for quite a while. This team is so dynamic and has so many options. And you got to remember, they won yesterday without Terry Rozier. So, like, you put
Right.
Terry Rozier in this lineup at a fully healthy point, which I don't think we saw from him in game two. You're
Nope.
talking about a team that is really, really good. And like I don't know. I'm not gonna overreact here. It's too early. We're not even 4 games in yet. But like this feels like a playoff team for the Hornets.
They certainly look good. As we'll have to see, because they like to play up in pace, right? No, the Nets was the perfect
No.
situation for them. So if there was one game where I would have expected them to struggle, it would be this one. But they're going to try to run and gun with every team, force every team to play fast, and some teams just aren't going to be built to play that way. So right now, I think the Hornets are in a really good spot. It just this team was ravaged by COVID and injuries last year. So if they can stay
Mhm.
healthy, it's also not really a good sign with Terry Rozier this early. But if they can get back to their former selves, I think that they have a really good shot. Like, I mean, Gordon Hayward didn't look great last night, but he's definitely been a solid piece for them this year. Miles Bridges has looked great in all of the games. Kelly Oubre still has not found his way in this team yet, but he will. And when he starts feeling comfortable, he's going to be another guy to look out for. I don't know. Like you said, like the LaMelo does not have to be the guy, and I think we're just going to see. I don't know. Honestly, probably one of the fastest teams in history of the NBA if they can stay healthy.
Yeah, if they could stay healthy. But like Lamelo wants to push that pace. I think he's really he's going to be one of those players who's known as a dominant player when it comes to making teams play at his pace. And
Sure.
that's what he's done throughout this first 3 games is every single game he's making teams play at his pace. And as soon as you play at his pace, it's a humongous disadvantage for your team because most likely
Right.
this Hornets team can play fast better than you can play fast. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this team develops. I want to talk about the Nets really quickly because you only had 2 scorers who had double digit points. That belongs to James Harden and Kevin Durant. And Kevin
Sure.
Durant had 38. Harden only had 15. So like the rest of this team just did not show up. Patty Mills shot 2 for 10. I mean Harden didn't even do that great when it comes to only having 15 points, 8 assists and 7 rebounds. Javon Carter shot 1 for 7. LaMarcus Aldridge had the third most points with 9. Bruce Brown had the fourth most points with 8. But like you're just not seeing, you're clearly seeing that like this team needs their third man in Kyrie, and
Yeah.
who knows when they get him back.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he's coming back ever, but
Yeah,
yeah, it's I we'll see. But right now, you said it. Like they are trying to find that third guy, and they have a lot of third guys. It's just none of them are stepping up necessarily. And this was kind of something we saw similar in to last postseason, where as like Kevin Durant literally dragged them through the entire postseason
yep.
and got to where they did. But I still think that they're going to need a little bit of extra help, whether that means LaMarcus Aldridge steps up one night. Joe Harris, man, he's looked rough this like the past. It's not been a good like last 6 months for Joe Harris. I don't know. We're trying to find these guys. They made a lot of moves in the offseason to kind of revamp their bench and get some more big men, but they're only playing Paul Millsap like less than 10 minutes a game. And I just don't really know what the strategy here is. The other big story coming out for this team is that Steve Nash has said that James Harden is the poster boy for the new free throw rule. He only has 9 free throws in 3 games, Josh.
Yeah, it's true. Like, I mean, Jakku said it perfectly. The rule change will take Harden a while. It's taking a lot of
Right.
players a lot of time. I was watching the Kings game specifically last night because we had 2 Kings guys in our lineup, and they were talking about how the second half of the game there was a total of 9 free throw attempts coming into the last half of the fourth quarter. Like that's insane to only have 9 free
Right.
throw attempts. I love it personally. I think let these guys play, man. Like I think the game's more enjoyable when you're not going to the free throw line every few seconds or every few possessions. But yeah, it's the this new rule is really affecting players. I knew it would be affecting players, but it's affecting players even more than I expected.
Right. I mean, it's affecting guards, right? It's like I think that at the end of the day, they'll figure it out. They'll always find a way to get themselves to the free throw line, but it's going to take some time to do that. I want to talk about the really quick. The NBA had posted their power rankings for as of this week. Obviously, only one weekend, but the Jazz at the top, number one. The best regular. Can you say like the perennial best season long or like just regular season champion
Yeah.
of Utah Jazz.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, so Golden State Warriors number 2, and Denver Nuggets number 3, Bucks number 4, Brooklyn Nets 5, Philly 6, Phoenix 7, Atlanta Hawks 8, LA Lakers 9, Memphis Grizzlies 10.
And
Not
Grizzlies
even,
10.
yeah, the Chicago Bulls, undefeated Chicago Bulls, are number 11. Also, the
Did you?
Hornets are 12.
Oh, that makes no sense to me, man. I just don't buy that whatsoever. Did you say 76ers or did I miss them?
I said them. They were number 6.
I don't know if the 76ers are better than the Lakers right now, but I understand optics probably don't look great for the Lakers. Uh, Bacon wants to know where are the T Wolves?
Oh boy, I'm gonna scroll down for a while. Hold on. No, I'm kidding. They're actually number 18.
There you go. Not too bad of a record. Um, Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised that the Jazz are in first. I feel like I would have put the Warriors first right now, but I understand that the Jazz are really, like you said, those regular season champions year in and year out. It's going to be interesting. I thought that Warriors team looked really good yesterday. I thought, the fact that they're not turning the ball over and they're doing so well without Klay Thompson just speaks volumes to what's going to happen when Klay Thompson is able to come back. Not to mention James Wiseman. Like when you can finally stop running
Yeah,
Otto
for
Porter
sure.
as your small ball five, that's going to really help this team because Otto Porter just not the ideal player to run there. And with James Wiseman, it's gonna be dominant, man. I think this Warriors team could be really, really good this season. So going to be interesting to see what they can do. And yeah, I'm excited. I want to talk about the Lakers really quickly because I'm here and I can dictate the conversation a little bit. I can actually talk about one of my teams that won yesterday. Lakers end up winning 121 to 118. I was never concerned about the Lakers losing, but I guess the rest of the media was because all I could hear last night was like, "Oh, the Lakers are on such a bad start to the season. Like this isn't how
Yeah.
I expected them to start." I'm sorry, this is exactly how I expected
Oh,
them to
exactly.
start.
Yeah.
Like I obviously didn't expect the fighting, but like outside of the fighting between teammates, I expected this team to start out slow. And so it's not a surprise whatsoever to see them 1-2. I thought last night's win was really good because while a lot of people are probably counting out this Grizzlies team, I think this Grizzlies team is solid. And I think this Grizzlies team deserves that number 10 ranking in those power rankings that you just talked about. John Morant has looked otherworldly when he's on the court. And I think when this team is fully healthy, it's just a really good look. I think Steven Adams looks like a beast out there. I mean, 14 points yesterday with 16 rebounds and 6 assists. The guy looks absolutely incredible. It was a great addition. I love Jonas Valanciunas, but like he was a good. I think he makes more sense in this offense than Jonas did, in all honesty, and it gives JJJ the ability to kind of take over for this team and
Sure.
get to his true potential. So this Memphis team is good. This Lakers team looked better yesterday, and I mean, all thanks to Carmelo Anthony, who surprisingly was our leading point scorer last night.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I saw a tweet from it was some Lakers fan account, and it was like Carmelo Anthony is on our team in all capitals, and yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like his scoring is going to help us out so much, and I'm pumped for that.
Yep. I'll keep this thing really quick. Just two things on this game that stood out to me. First, shout out to Sean because I know he's watching in here, and he said this last week on a DFS podcast, saying that Jonas Valanciunas absorbs the most usage out of any center in the league, and now that we don't see him in this Grizzlies rotation anymore, it kind of feels like there's a little bit like more new life here, right? And I think that John Morant's able to really control the pace and dictate how things are going. I think Jonas fits a lot better in New Orleans now than he did in this Memphis team. So we'll see how they use Steven Adams and how they can maybe take Jaren Jackson to that next step that we've been looking for the last couple of years. And then on the other side, do you want to mention anything about the scary LeBron injury that was actually not as big of a deal?
Yeah, I of course I saw the tweet from Skip Bayless saying
Yeah.
like he was like LeBron went down, looked really injured, and then got back up, and he said the Iron Man is back, and being very sarcastic in that front. Yeah, I think that sometimes LeBron likes to play the dramatics, and that certainly
Sure.
seemed like one of those points where he decided that I'm going to play the dramatics here a little bit, and but I think he's just fine. I mean, I think that he looked fine afterwards, so I'm really not all that concerned.
Yeah, okay. I mean, fair enough. I think that at first maybe he thought like, "Oh, fuck, I'm done." Like maybe at first because it was a really awkward looking injury. He got wrapped up on Desmond Bain fell on his leg and just I don't know. It was the bad ankle too from last year and just who knows, but that's what you get when you spend $1 million on your body every year.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, exactly. 100%. All right. Anything else here? If not, talk about technical foul really quickly. I guess it should be flag on the play today because yesterday was NFL. But what's your flag on the play? And then I'll talk about my technical foul.
Yeah, the Chiefs end segment.
Yeah, end seg. Boom. Jared's done. Um, for technical foul, there wasn't much that surprised me. I kind of talked about it in the NBA season pass chat that like I just haven't been hitting on my 2v2s and 3v3s. Like last night, the 2v2 was between John Morant and Robert Williams, between Tobias Harris and De'Aaron Fox. And I would have smashed easily yesterday. So, like,
Yep.
I don't know. Like I told people in the NBA season pass chat, and like I plan on addressing on the members only podcast, it's just taken me a little bit time with this new process to like convert it over to lineup construction. So I'm excited, man, because we still smashed on DraftKings, and I guess maybe that should be my technical foul. People need to play DraftKings, man. People need to play DraftKings with us and use our DraftKings articles to make their own DraftKings lineups. Because if you use DraftKings articles to make lineups for NBA this weekend, you absolutely smashed. Like we had members in the 300s last night that were getting close to, not I wouldn't say takedown territory, but at least 1% territory. And I know on Saturday night we were in that 1% territory. So like DraftKings and absolutely smashing. My technical foul seems to be people need to start playing DraftKings more often.
I would second that, and I can talk for days, but we just don't have that amount of time right now.
We really don't. We got to keep rolling and moving. Josh's corner recap might have to be pushed to tomorrow, but let's get some underdog mentality plays, Jared. Who would be your top underdog from our friends over at Bet Online?
Let's see. Yeah, mm, I actually don't feel comfortable betting the Braves tonight, so I'm not going to do that. Or tomorrow, sorry, not tonight. But they are definitely like an underdog play that you could get behind, I guess, if you feel strongly about that. All right, here we go. I like this one a lot. It's not really like a huge underdog, but give me the Charlotte Hornets. They're taking out Boston tonight in Charlotte, and they are technically 1 point dogs, minus 107 for the Hornets, because I don't think that the Boston Celtics can keep up with them.
I banged my desk because that was going to be my pick. So you stole it from me, Jared. That's all right. Give me the Trailblazers to win plus 130 against the Clippers.
I like that too.
I can take that 100%. I also thought about taking
New Orleans,
Wizards plus 230. That's definitely more of a long shot play, but I like the Wizards too.
sure. Yeah, it's crazy. Also, I think that the Heat are their first minus or 4-digit favorite, so they're minus 1,000 tonight against the Magic. At what point do you just take the money line down for that one?
Yeah, I don't know because like the Magic won last night. Like the Magic looked good against the Knicks last night, so maybe Bet
All right,
Online is
all
just
right.
counting that out. All right, I think we're supposed to give away some free vouchers because Sean put out a tweet saying that we're giving away free Fanduel vouchers. So do you want to pick a few people from the chat to get those free vouchers, and then we can get out of here?
Yeah, I was just gonna say once we hit that hour mark, I was gonna thank all you guys for tuning in as long as you have. And I already had a winner picked out. So for
There you
me,
go.
I'm gonna go with Hockey Fan 26. You get a FanDuel voucher today.
Beautiful. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for everyone who's hanging out. We greatly appreciate it over here at Roto Radar. Make sure to come check us out tomorrow as well for Jason Garrett Tuesday and everything else that is happening on Tuesday. But a quick thank you to our friends over at betonline.ag, our sponsor, betonline.ag. No matter where you are, no matter where you're located, you can go and bet on spreads, on money lines, and on anything else that you want over at our friends, betonline.ag. They're one of the most player friendly sports books around. It's easy to get withdrawals once you do win. And yeah, we absolutely love them. Anything positive to say about Bet Online, Jared?
Oh, I did. I actually took their money this weekend.
There you go. Hey.
Outside of the Rams team total, I hit all of the touchdown props, Josh, yesterday.
Nice. Yeah, super solid. 10 out of 10 there. So, yeah, we love our friends over at Bet Online. Jared provides picks for Bet Online every single game slate, right? And do you do it for
Yep,
main slates too in your article?
I do. We
I see.
had Daryl Henderson. The
Mhm.
only one, actually, Daryl Henderson didn't hit, but James Conner hit. Devontae Adams hit. Who else? Leonard Fournette hit. And yeah, it's a really good way to double dip on some DFS plays for sure.
Yeah, and their player props are absolutely amazing. I don't think anyone does player props like they do necessarily, and all the odds boosters and they're just absolutely amazing, and they're so player friendly, which you don't see from a lot of sports books these times. So make sure to go check them out. Again, betonline.ag, and you can go to their sports book. You can do their casino. They have a race book as well. They have a ton of things that you can do over there. Everyone's giving me props for my CFB bets. Yeah, college football went great this week, but I'll leave
Yep.
that for Josh's Corners recap tomorrow. Jared, any final notes before we get out of here? If not, we have another show in an hour.
Yep, we'll catch you guys here in about 50 minutes for the FanDuel first look for week 8. That's crazy. Every single week we just say, wow, that's crazy. But it
Yeah,
is. It's truly crazy.
it really
But
is,
yeah,
man. Yeah, it's funny how we do that every time, but you're 100% right. Just every week it's a new wow. That's crazy. We're so far, but we truly do mean it. It is crazy. All right, let's get out of here. As always, my name is Joshua Reimer. Good morning and good skill.